Hello and welcome back in. We are here in Planet Zoo and we are back working on our Cream Family Farmer phase of our Red Lane Zoo. And this time we are working on a habitat for the American Standard Donkey. Not quite sure what makes it standard or American or anything, but anyway, that's the animal that we're working for in here. Now, this is the area where we originally had our kind of fake petting zoo that we've been working on, but because it didn't really make a lot of sense, we decided to delete it and have started a game and are pretty much working solely. I'm gonna say there might be a few add-ons, but most of them are going to come from the new Barnyard animal pack, which I absolutely love. I've got to be fair, those animals are pretty cute into there. So yes, this is also going to have a little bit of a staff area. You kind of saw me put in some of the staff buildings. So we've got a keeper hut, a staff room, and a animal trading point in here. It's gonna kind of form a little bit of a bigger area where we have some other buildings as well, maybe getting an vet. I'm not entirely sure if we have sort of space or things like that when it comes to the others, because there are going to be another animal the other side of that little path that you just saw me put in into there. But yes, now I don't create stables in sort of the technical sense. I do have like 2 stalls in here from the doors, but I don't have it so they're like the animals are shut in, because I feel like the donkeys are pretty hardy animals. They live in all parts of the world and they can survive pretty much anywhere, so I figured it would be a easier way, if I say, because I didn't really like the way I had to do stable doors before, to kind of come up with a way of sort of shutting them in. I feel like they would have access both sort of inside and outside from all of this. And obviously you have got the sort of habitat gate in here as well. Now the keeper and the animals can walk in and out of both of these, so there's not a problem in there. I did have a slight issue, and I'm not sure if it's like a bug or something, because I kind of had a look at some of my previous habitats as well and they seem to have it. Some of the feeders were coming up saying they're inaccessible. I don't know why. They are on flat ground. They are right next to the footpath that goes through this habitat. Obviously not that matters to the keeper or to the guests now, but there's no reason why the animals can't get to them or the keepers can't get to them. The heat map shows that they're available. It's just that the keepers aren't putting food in them and the animals aren't getting food from them. The same with the water trough, I've got to be fair, to the point I did actually have to sneak in a sort of one of the constant water taps, and as well because they were just dying of dehydration or thirst because they weren't able to eat or drink anything. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one. As I say, I'm not sure if it's a bug or what's going on with it, but yeah. So if you sort of see random hay on the floor in the screenshots of the start of that, it's because they just couldn't get, for some weird reason, into the sort of troughs and stuff like that. But this is kind of the style that I've gone for on the other one. So you might remember, if you have checked out last week's habitat and build, then I said that I wasn't overly happy with how the sort of habitat or the hard shelter looked, and I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a face makeover in there. So that is what I have done, and we have placed kind of like the wood paneling, very much like I'm doing here, into sort of around that as well. I've kind of kept it the same sort of style as all of the other ones. So if you have checked out all of the videos so far, then you'll kind of know the style I'm really going for in the zoo, which yes is totally different to what I had been working on for this area. But as I say, I wasn't particularly happy with how we were going with that, which is why I kind of jumped at the chance to delete everything and start again. Not something I normally do. I would kind of just carry on with it and just deal with it, but I think this pack gave me the perfect excuse to kind of throw out what we had done and start again. So that is what we're doing. Now we're working just here, just moving these. Now these are the only windows that I actually open up, and this is actually looking into the habitat from the staff room, so it gives you kind of a nice little look in here, from like if you've got to do anything, or if there's an animal in distress and you're just kind of chilling in here. I thought that'd be a nice little one in there for you. And yeah, and then we have these little bits here to do as well, so the animals can get in. Right. Yeah, this paneling, it's pretty simple. It's just the sort of larger pieces, and then with the small little ones that are just sort of poking out through it a little bit more, so it gives it a little bit more of sort of texture and stuff like that, which I thought was a really nice little feature added in to here as well. It gives it a little bit more, not necessarily personality, because that's probably the wrong words, but it just adds to the whole sort of look into there. And then I go to my go-to kind of method of creating a barrier between these two areas, and that is to create a sort of a frame around here using the marquee beams. These are gorgeous. I love them. They're small, they're simple, they look good, and they just work for what I really want them to do. It's probably one of my favourite pieces. I think they're probably in every single sort of like hard shelter or build that I actually do in here, because they just look, and I feel like they're better than a column because they're smaller and there's more sort of simple into here. And then we kind of, although we don't necessarily need to kind of mix them up, I felt like maybe if we were going to separate the animals for any particular reason, maybe it's a mum who's just given birth or something like that, or is about to and wants a little bit of privacy, maybe we want to shut the male in for the day or something, then we can do that and they won't sort of see each other or get too close in here. Obviously I didn't create the doors, maybe something I do in the future, I don't know, if I can find one that I like and it's pretty simple to do into here. But yeah, these are actually ceiling cables from the European pack that work really, really well. I did originally use the grasslands pole for this, but I think I actually cut it out. It just didn't quite look right, and I think the colours are slightly off. I was going to think about copying them, but then thought about piece count. And I know we've only really just sort of started, and this is only episode 11 of this, but I am thinking ahead to the point of how much do I want to get in the zoo and how much sort of piece count can I get away with. So I thought, no, I'm just going to keep it simple, add another column in here, which is only 2 rather than the hundreds of little pieces that we would have in there. And yeah, some lighting in here so that it's a little bit brighter for the animals, and then the same over this side for the staff members that use this little area. We do pull up the floor in just a second so that it has a nice little roof over it. This again is kind of like a two-tonal sort of roof, so we have this one coming through here. I do end up moving that tree, and then we have a slightly different one on the sort of inside as well, so we do have all of that, and then a nice little trim around the edge here. Just because the sort of tops of the wood is exposed, I kind of felt like we needed to have something going around the top here, just to add a nice sort of bright sort of band of colour around the top. Even though obviously it is white, it is a nice contrast to sort of the darker woods that we are going for. Now, I didn't show you how I did the sides and the back of this. It was quite a dark, difficult place because obviously all of the trees are in here. I didn't get rid of the trees because I felt like they were a really nice boundary. So we kind of have this wooden kind of forest sort of section at the end of our sort of park here, and that is going to be the boundary line. So nothing is going to go past basically this habitat. Nothing sticks out more into there. And yes, I do move that tree out the way. It was getting too frustrating in there being there, but that is pretty much the hard shelter and staff area all done. Just a little bit of detail on roofing to go in there, and then that's it done. And now we're on pretty much to working on the habitat again, planting and rocks and all of those wonderful fun things in there as well. I thought a nice little bit at the bottom just to give it a nice detail, a small little bit along there. And now let's crack on with that. Now this is kind of the way I create hills and bumps and ridges and detail and terrain work in here. Now I know it's not perfect and it's not ideal for a lot of people, and it's so random though that I think it really actually works in here, because it kind of gives you lots of different sort of heights and stuff like that, and it's so random that it kind of works for what I wanted in here. So yeah, that's really what we wanted, and we wanted the path to come up. Now one thing I did actually find with this path is that the guests really kind of stick to it a lot more than what they do in the sheep habitat next door. They're all kind of all over the place and they're just walking around anywhere. In here they are very much restricted to the path. I think they might come off of it a little bit, but not too far. And also I have not seen any interactions with the donkeys and like the guests at all. Like they can be sort of standing right next to each other and there's just no interaction. They're not stroking them, they're not petting them, they're not doing anything like that. So I'm not sure if that's again another little bug that the game has with these animals. I hope not, and I hope if it is, it gets fixed, because I feel like the donkeys need a little bit of love into here as well. And yeah, lots of little rock work coming in. Now obviously as usual I've built these off stream, because I say off stream, I'm so much of a Twitch streamer of recording, because trying to get them to actually look pretty decent is quite difficult. So working on here I do have a bit of a plan and a kind of an area that I don't intend to film, that has loads of sort of rocks and trees and all sorts of other bits and pieces ready for when I need them into there. But these are sort of the bigger rocks, and then I get in some of these fake rocks in here with lots of sort of different colours on, and kind of just build upon them all. I feel like it's a really nice sort of base that we've used into here. And then this is where most of the planting goes. Now obviously I know donkeys will eat sort of the grasses and pretty much most of the other plants. I feel like it's safe to put some plants in here with them, and especially around like the grasses and stuff, because I feel like the sort of donkeys maybe can't get to them, or it's a little bit more sort of difficult to get to. And if anybody looks at the way I do the grasses and stuff, which you'll see in just a minute, I kind of use the 3 different tones of the buffalo grass to kind of create a look of its green sort of lush grass in the middle where they can't really get to, and then it kind of gets to the dry one just around the edge that maybe has been slightly eaten and slightly nibbled away and is maybe dying because it's been used. And then I use the drought sort of one, kind of that completely sort of dead one around the edges where it's like it's been completely sort of eaten away and there's not much left of it, as it were, because it's been eaten away essentially. And that's kind of why I use kind of the colours that I really wanted into there. But before we get into that planting, let's add in the enrichment and feeders and stuff like that in here. So we have 2 big feeders, and then I actually do place in this little third one, I think, because it wasn't quite enough feeders for them, and then obviously they still can't use one of them. So that's what we end up doing in here, but lots of kind of enrichment and stuff for them as well, so that they can spread around and do lots of bits and pieces in there for all of these. So they're all nice and happy and stuff like that. And now yeah, I really wanted to try and get this one in. It had to go in over here, but again, it's that main feeder over there that they couldn't use, and then also the water trough there. For some real reason, I don't know why, they just couldn't use it, and it was just coming up inaccessible to both keepers and animals. So maybe something I will have to have a look at and see why or what we can do about that into here. But obviously animals are still fed, they're just dumped grass, hay and stuff in the middle of the habitat, and they just eat that. So it's not the end of the world. I do, obviously because we're in sandbox mode, have like animals dying of like hunger or thirst or anything like that switched off, so that doesn't really have like an impact per se. And the same with like the planting and hard shelter and stuff, that doesn't have an impact on them, which if you didn't know, you can change those settings up in the top right hand corner. You've obviously got your settings, and then you've got your sandbox settings up there, so you can change all of those as you would like to, depending obviously on each individual sort of zoo that you have, but that's only available in sandbox mode, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is only just sandbox mode into there. But yes, coming in, as I say, with the 3 different types of grasses, and then we add in a mixture of kind of the other kind of plants that I really want. I love these cabbage trees. I'm not sure if they are like proper cabbages in like the vegetable cabbage, or if they're just kind of random sort of plants that are just named the same. But they kind of fit in with lots of the other sort of plants and sort of the planters that we have around the sort of zoo as well. This blue stem grass as well is a really nice one, because it just gives you a little bit of height, so I kind of tuck that in places where I think the animals might not necessarily eat it too much, and then, as I say, the lighter kind of eaten versions in there as well. And then kind of going for a mixture of other plants in here. So we do get in some bracken. I think there's some brambles that come through as well, because, well, we can't have a habitat on my channel without bracken. Our brambles, they are kind of everywhere, and you just can never get rid of them. So it works in there, and it doesn't really matter if they get eaten, because they just come back again and again and again. So yeah, just kind of mixing those up. And then I do end up placing lots of trees in here as well, and it is kind of just borderline on too many plants for them. Obviously these are from like big grasslands, and I think they also live in the deserts in America as well, but I kind of wanted this habitat to kind of fit into this sort of woodland kind of forest is probably a slightly wrong word, but an area that's a little bit more wood. It has more trees, it's a little bit more sheltered, it's kind of a little bit sort of tucked away out of here. It is going to basically be a dead end to our zoo, so you won't be able to get here through any other way other than what we've already got. So it feels like it's something that maybe you go and visit if you want to, as like an add-on, not something that you come to see per se. Obviously we are going to add in a separate entrance for this area, so if you do just want to come to the petting zoo, you can do that if you wanted to, but it's still part of the main zoo, but you don't kind of have to do it. Maybe it's an extra charge and you get like a different colour wristband or something like that, I don't know. That's kind of me putting my practical head on. Anyway, back to here, we're putting in these ponytail palms. I felt like they were aptly named for what I wanted, and then here come the trees, and this is the end of the video. So if you have enjoyed this, then please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. You can even subscribe to my channel or find me on any social medias. The links are down in the description. But I will see you very, very soon for another video. But until then, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!